complexity is often confused with complicated, but complicated is more a mechanistic term. You know, a machine is complicated, but you can learn about it. You can identify parts that are broken or missing and replace them. Complexity is closer to an organic living system in which you can't just swap things out and make them better. There is an interconnectivity that's embedded in the very existence of it. And the word complexity comes from what's the word for curtains that have pleated, yeah. So complexity is with pleatedness, you know, and that it's what's folded together. And so unfolding wisdom accidentally became quite an accurate expression of how do we talk about complexity as not something that's overwhelmingly complicated, but as something that's living. And if one approaches it with a certain gravitas and levity, it can unfold, it can open up, you can see more of it. And it's not just a function of analysis, it's a function of appreciation.
As Alan was talking about the etymology of complexity and the physical visual for me was of the lotus flower that has so many petals, but there's this kind of graceful opening and displaying of really what's inside that complexity that when it's just a bud looks so tight and so together. So there's something very organic and something that can happen only naturally, like you don't go and force it to open, right? So there needs to be certain conditions that are right for that to happen. So I think that the unfolding that happened during our 4-day retreat was an experience of unity and an experience of authenticity expressed in each individual that was part of the circle, that created safety and a very strong container for us to express something that maybe we wouldn't have the courage to express in any other context, and for us to explore questions or to even look at our own personal experience and do some healing work that was individually healing but also collectively healing. So what I was curious about in this exploration was, can we get to complexity from a more intuitive and felt sense? I remember many years ago, I wrote a little piece about complexity and grace. And that was like the beginning for me to understand that there was this other side of this complexity exploration that had to do more with ease and more with allowing rather than creating, forcing, making happen, controlling. What God manifested was coming through the complexity of our diversity and the grace of our unity, the complexity of our very various ways of being human, culturally, from our different ages, from our different countries of origin. Like there was so much complexity in that little group. And yet we came together and connected on our shared humanity. That's what I hope for the world. That's what I hope for every organization, for every team, for every family, for every church, for every community to experience. I think that we live in a world in which those things feel almost ideal, like that sense of communion or that sense of like you are loved and you are welcome and you can tell your truth and you can be listened and you can be supported is so rare. And I don't think that I was able to say, oh, that's what we're creating. But reflecting, I think that was part of the emergence that happened there. So I'm now very called and have a deep desire of continue to cultivating this field, which again, it's not that we created, we just call it into being because there's some rightness. The people that said yes to the invitation responded from their heart, not from their minds, because whatever we were able to say in words or in language was so basic and so limited from even our own understanding of what is it that we were trying to bring into existence.